Welcome to this edition of Twin It to Win It. We will be talking about gamifying safety with digital twins. But before we dive in, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Esteban Londono. I'm a solutions engineer at Matterport. Alongside me, I have my colleague Boaz from Treedis. Just a few housekeeping rules. We will be reserving some time for Q&A towards the end of the session. And as you can see from the camera, of course, the session will be recorded. So feel free also to revert back to it if needed and share with some peers. So going through some of the agenda points today, we'll be making an introduction to what is Matterport, who we are and how we operate. Followed next will then be Treedis, who will then also be making an introduction to their platform. And then we will be diving into a customer story specifically as to, of course, how we have helped them digitize their environment and to also provide some training and onboarding for them. We will then follow up with a connect session. We will let you guys know where we are located. So if you did want to come out and see an in-person demonstration of both platforms, we will be able to accommodate that and, of course, answer any final questions you may have. Right, so now you know a little bit more about myself and my colleague. Let's dive in. So what is Matterport? So in industries like manufacturing, construction, facilities management, having access to accurate data, ways to be able to interact and document is essential. Now, traditionally, these sort of industries have relied on things like blueprints, 2D photography, and countless on-site visits to actually be able to document, maintain, and actually figure out what their environments look like. Often, of course, this leads to inefficiencies. It provides decision-making a lot more difficult to actually achieve. And this is where Matterport comes in. Matterport is a platform that enables any sort of customers to essentially digitize their real-life environment, transforming it into a physical and accurate digital representation of any physical site. Now, it couldn't actually get any more simpler to actually go ahead and digitize any sort of facilities. And that's where we kind of break into kind of two buckets. The first bucket we'll see from the image on my right is our hardware. It's essentially that simple. We have a set of different sort of hardwares, all really dependent on the different use case. There will be a solution out there for you. But it all stems from capturing a space. Once we capture your physical environment, all that data that is collected, which is the photography, as well as the depth data, it's then uploaded to our cloud, where our Cortex AI vision pipeline and AI kicks in, renders together all the photography, as well as the depth data, and then within a couple of hours, no human intervention, you have a physical representation of, you have a digital representation of your physical site. And that's where the magic starts. One, we're now enabling customers to say, right, what does my site actually look like? Two, do I actually have the possibility to cross-collaborate with other functional teams? And three, it eliminates all guesswork, because now you have that physical, dimensionally accurate representation of your physical sites in the power of your phone, tablet, computer. And that is the beauty, because we are web-based. It just means you have access to your facilities from anywhere in the world. Now, where things, of course, get more interesting and where the power of Matterport kind of kicks in is, of course, if we look over to my left. You can start to build out more custom bespoke use cases, things like training and onboarding, asset tagging, design and construct. But we have also have very specific strategic partnership with the likes of Autodesk Construction Cloud, meaning once a digital space has been captured, you're also able to create CAD files, Revit files, and point clouds, which you can again take into things like Revit, or leverage the sort of integrations we have directly with ACC and Procore. But it doesn't stop there. We've also partnered up with AWS specifically on services like TwinMaker, which allows you to bring all your IoT sensor data directly overlaid onto the Matterport scene, which then enables customers to do things like predicted maintenance and just to name a couple of more. Here is also a little bit of a wider scope of the sort of customers that we deal on a day-to-day basis. As I mentioned, there is always going to be various different use cases. You see the likes of Granite, Siemens, Harrods, Bayer, SAC, they all have their various different needs. But ultimately, they have one purpose in common, and that is, how can I digitize my facilities? How can I get that in front of my audiences? And how can I have a platform that enables cross-collaboration, not just for internal, but external teams? This year alone also, we've had some pretty big milestones. I think the biggest one we want to call out, of course, is we managed to surpass 50 billion square feet under management. So again, that's a huge milestone for us. And we've also surpassed the 1 million subscribers on our platform. Coming back to, of course, some of those use cases, and what we're going to be focusing in today's presentation is, of course, the training and onboarding. A lot of our customers, of course, have outdated training materials where it's very slide-focused, classroom-based. By capturing any sort of facilities, it just means you can have a lot more interaction, keep your audiences engaged, cut down on unnecessary shutdown of any sort of manufacturing plants, because ultimately you're able to train staff from the comfort of the home and feel like they are actually present. And here is just one of the stats we've seen from one of our customers. Next as well, we see, of course, the ability of the platform itself. With what you're seeing on screen is Matterport serves as a collaboration platform. And I keep on emphasizing this because I think this is the main key points here we want to focus on today. Having a platform like Matterport, it just means you're able to tag all your assets, but you're also able to cross-collaborate with internal and external teams. By adding what we call something as notes or tags, you're able to essentially leave tasks for other contractors, and there's no, we're eliminating essentially the guesswork. So not only by serving the digital twin, we're actually saying, here is the exact point of reference to what needs to be corrected. If we're talking things like snags, we've now been able to create that, go into the digital twin and be able to actually see where it is the point of action. So no longer are we guessing where things are. We're no longer having to share 2D photography. You're able to share the actual physical representation of your space, and you'll be able to have clear imagery of where things are located. Next up, I want to just hand it over to my colleague Boaz, who will take us through treaties.
Thank you. Thanks, Esteban. Can everyone hear me? Great, yeah? All right. So after we learned a little bit about Matterport and the Matterport digital twin and how you capture your space, now let's talk a little bit more about what you're going to do with that digital model. So Treaties is a no-code platform that helps transform industrial teams into connected workers. And we do that by leveraging that Matterport digital twin. Treaties allows you to build many different applications on top of the Matterport digital twin. And there's a variety of use cases that you can see here. As of today, we have 4 core products in Treaties. One is the Connected Workers package that we'll be focusing on today when we see the use case that Granite were using Treaties. We also have an indoor navigation product, consumer-facing, an immersive experience product, which is great for marketing, brand awareness, and interactive real estate for developers and builders. Now let's dive into the reason we all came here. How are Granite Construction using Matterport and Treaties? How are they actually leveraging that to find true value? So Granite came with us with some interesting pain points. They were using, similar to like Esteban said, PowerPoints, papers to train employees, to train engineers. They also had truck drivers coming on site, some of which don't know how to speak English, so they weren't sure where they need to drive to, and they were finding it very challenging to explain and to train all these people beforehand, before they reach the site. So how can you train someone on site if they weren't there physically? And that's exactly what we did with Granite. So we captured the site, and what you see here is one of the construction sites. And there's going to be a lot that you'll be seeing on the screen, so I'm going to try to unpack it one by one. So first of all, after we capture it, you upload it to Treedis, and then you start building different applications on the Treedis no-code platform. We started with training. That was the main pain point. You can build step-by-step training models on top of Treedis, and you can add gamified components, as you can see here, that help you verify the knowledge retention. So I can quiz someone, what is the next step in this procedure? How do you perform this specific SOP? And when they need to answer the correct question, that's when I know then that the knowledge has been retained. So I can have engineers go through these trainings again and again and again, virtually and remotely. And when they set foot for the first time on site, they're already familiar with the environment. They're very confident of what they need to do. That's where we see injuries being reduced. That's where we see downtime being reduced on site. And the training process, the overall training process, becoming much more efficient. You'll be able to see here some of the tagging that we did. I see the video froze, but maybe we can try and replay the video. So you can tag throughout the space with information, hotspots. You can see that here we have the navigation bar that helps you navigate to the next point. On this side, this was very interesting. Granite has their own internal AI chatbot, and they integrated that within the showcase so that you can engage with the chatbot. So you can be at some point and ask, wait, what am I supposed to do now? Or what are the steps? What is the correct protection equipment that I need to put on when I'm loading my truck with hot mix, for example? And all this is available, everything integrates into Treedis and Matterport. And this is just for training. The use cases on top of that are very interesting to see as well. We can also visualize live data coming from IoT. So you can see data on machines. You can visualize equipment specs coming from different systems that the client is already using. And you can also have maintenance personnel collaborate on the space using both this virtual remote version, but also using the Treedis AR app. With the Treedis AR app, you can walk on site, pull out your mobile device, point it at a machine or an engine or a pump, and see all the data. See the technical specs, see any SOP related to that if you need to perform some maintenance check, and see the live data coming from the sensors. So you don't need to use your walkie-talkie and ask a control center, what's the temperature on this pump I'm looking at? You have it all in the palm of your hand. That's the essence of the connected worker solution. Granite have been reporting that since they started deploying this, they have improved their training cycle. So engineers and truck drivers have been training quicker. You're good, Toby, it's okay. Yeah. And like I said, we saw injuries, personal injuries, being reduced. I'm going to hand it back to Esteban to talk a little bit about some of the interesting points about Granite.
Thanks, Boaz. A couple of key things to kind of call out on the presentation itself is all the visuals you're seeing, of course, it's all thanks to the power of what we call our own hardware, the Matterport Pro 3. However, there is also the question as to a lot of customers doesn't necessarily say they want to go down the pathway of owning hardware to capture spaces like this. As previously presented, Matterport also has a very nice turnkey solution by where Matterport can send their own technicians to capture any sort of space. So whether you're in the need of owning your own hardware because you're having to do repetitive scans, that is a pathway for you. But ultimately, if you don't want to go down that route, Matterport can also engage and help you do the scans. Another thing to kind of call out that you may be wondering is, what if my space changes? That is also a question we constantly get asked. The beauty is with the way our technology works is if any sort of plant or anything changes within the actual physical environment, there is a way to just recapture smaller parts of those areas to avoid having to recapture the whole site. So meaning any sort of updates can always be captured and then kind of then implemented back into the final product. So some of the key call-outs with Granite itself, and again, we put it there, avoiding 1,000 ways to die, 1,000 ways not to die, was a key thing for them. As Bo was mentioned, a lot of drivers didn't speak English. It wasn't their first language. A lot of these drivers had never visited those sites. So the challenge to them, to us, was give us a way that we can ensure that if you are a lorry driver, if you're an engineer on site, we want to make sure we have one platform that serves multi-use cases all into one. And that's what you can see here when the video goes in. Depending on where you're a delivery driver or an engineer, you will have a flow to go through and be able to have that more immersive training. So that was one of their first challenge they threw at us. And of course, with Treaties, we said, no problem. There's definitely something we can definitely help you guys out here. The solution itself, of course, is something now they're implementing. They're getting all the lorry drivers and all personnel to go through this training to make sure they are fully aware of what the facilities look like prior to actually going there on the first visits. The results itself speaks for itself. They are having a lot more engagement out of the training. They feel like after the people have gone through this more immersive training, they are more prepared. They know where things are. And naturally, it just means there's a lot more reduction in downtime in regards to accidents or having to physically turn machinery on and off just to actually educate people throughout the site. Where we're going next is, this is only one of many projects. This is one of their facilities. The plan is to do a lot more with them and build out similar environments to what we're seeing on screen. The advantages, of course, of the connected workers, it just means customers are able to, of course, launch new hires, take them through the onboarding processes a lot quicker, reducing downtime in terms of having to essentially only do one-by-one training. We can actually now get multiple people trained from anywhere in the world. And again, I keep on emphasizing the point, tablets, phone, computer, you name it. It's all web-based, so you have easy access to any of these stuff. And with that said, I'd like to thank you for your time. Also, just take the opportunity to remind everyone that we're only a few minutes away from here. We're at booth, just on booth 20. You'll find where Matterport and Treaties are. So if you have any questions that we're not able to cover in the next few minutes, feel free to come over. We have everything ready to do any sort of demonstrations, take you through any other different use cases. And of course, up next, Boaz will also be taking you through a more detailed example where he's worked with another customer in the refinery space, and of course how he's leveraging the Treaties platform to help them engage. Thanks everyone.